Hi, and welcome to another Snappy Chat. I'm super excited to be back after last week where I unfortunately couldn't make it. But we'll be back every week from now on until Christmas. So I'm super excited to be here again. I'm Christine Bell. If you haven't been here before, this is all about learning and growing together in business, because the one thing I've learned as a small business owner is it can be a really lonely ride, and we all go through the same challenges in most cases. So why not learn and grow together and build a community where we actually all excel and all grow together? So this is what it's all about, and I'm super excited for my guest today, Peter Wilson. He's actually originally from Cape Town, but he lives here in Sydney. We know each other well, and he does a similar job to me, but he is an expert in the shopper and retail space, which is a very interesting space to be in, especially given the changes that's been in the last 4 years too. So we'll hear a lot more about that and the challenges he's faced building his own business shortly. So let me bring on Peter and we'll talk more. Welcome to Snappy Chat. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Christine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So grateful for that you can be here with me today. I really appreciate your time and learning and growing with you.
It's great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Wonderful. Do you want to share a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure.
Nitty gritty.
Yeah, okay. Christine, my background, as you know, is kind of, I come from sort of agency background, kind of ad agency specializing in kind of strategic roles, or fulfilling strategic roles in shopper strategy, retail and shopper strategy. And then also, I've spent a number of years in the world of market research, and that's where you and I have kind of crossed paths. So I decided 8 years ago when I started my business, just kind of merge those two worlds, and really to focus on commercially viable outcomes for clients. The so what when it comes after doing all our research, particularly in the retail and shopper space, about like, well, what does this mean for a client, and how do we take something from the research phase into a full-blown strategy that clients can adopt and they implement in their businesses.
Especially if you're a small business owner in our kind of space, people are buying strategy. They don't actually buy market research. Market research is a tool to get better insights to do strategy, but every single client I work with these days, they're interested in strategy. They're not, and the tool there for me is obviously it has to be human-centered, customer-centric. So we use those insights, but they want the outcome of what can I do with this, yeah? Not just plain research.
Yeah, Christine, it's so true. I mean, I love using the acronym, which I challenge myself with, I challenge my team with the whole time, which is the SFW principle. And if I told you that the S stands for the so and the W stands for the what, then you'll figure out what the F stands for. But it's so important to apply that principle in terms of everything you're doing and challenging yourself and saying, how does my client use this? How do we use this? Like, what is the so what that we get out of this? And there's that saying that I've got on my website about, if I had more time, I'd write you a shorter note or something. And it's absolutely true. When you can, the ability to be concise and being really clear in your message takes a lot more effort than just splurging stuff out on a gazillion PowerPoint slides.
Isn't that the truth? And I think working with big businesses, often when I was in big agencies, we could happily write 100 pages, yeah, and they could cope with it. Where working with small business owners is like, no, you can't do that. You got to get straight to the point. You got to be concise. They cannot cope with a lot of information. There has to just be, let's get on to strategy. And I completely get it, because unless you come from our world, they don't have the jargon, they don't have the sort of background in that. So we got to really get more realistic and a lot more, how can I use it? So your SFW, yeah? Got to answer that.
Christine, I've got a business partner in the US and another business that I've got called the Shopper Scientist. And Neil is a neuroscientist, and he always says to me, when it comes to shopper and shopper behavior and the kind of in-store messaging that we put in front of our shoppers, he said, we've got to give shoppers or customers shortcuts to making a good decision. And if you take the basic neuroscience behind that, I think with small businesses, it's about helping businesses or giving small businesses shortcuts to make good decisions. So less of the overwhelm and really getting to the point.
100%. That's what it's all about. And it has been a bit of a learning curve for me coming out of working with big businesses to really learning how I can best be of value and 2 small business owners, which leads us into, the challenges around that we face as small business owners, because you and I are both one-man bands with some help, of course, but generally we work on our own. And that is an interesting place to be in, because there's a lot of risk with that. There's a lot of freedom too, but there's a lot of risk with it. So what are some of the challenges, or one of the challenges you face that we can all learn from?
Yeah, I think I'll preempt that by saying, look, I'm not a guru in any way. I haven't floated my company or anything like that. I'm still learning every day. And that's the beauty about being an entrepreneur, in our case, a solopreneur, is that we're learning every single day. We learn something new, whether it's new tech or new methodologies or new ways of approaching the businesses. So what I'm going to share with you is, learnings off the back of my own experiences, also, but things that I've learned from other people along the way. And I think the first kind of real big challenging moment for my business was where we now 4 or 5 years into my business, and we all knew what happened a few years ago, and particularly as kind of small businesses, we all got clobbered with COVID. Business came to a standstill, and I remember sitting actually in this office. I've been here for 5-6 years. I remember sitting here, and I'd had a great year in 2019. I was doing a lot of work in China, and I'd teed up a whole lot of really nice work overseas in 2020. That sort of came to a grinding halt. So 2020 was okay for me. I still had enough money in the bank from all the work I'd done in 2019. We had other little projects coming through. It wasn't so much the first year of COVID lockdown that really knocked a lot of us. It was the second year. Yeah. Because there were still budgets, clients were still wanting to engage and whatever else, and just albeit in a different way. And 2021 was a really tough year for you. It was a tough year for me. It was a tough year for me personally, in terms of some of the things happening in my personal life, and then certainly also with my business life. So I just got the double whammy. I'd kind of moved out of the family home, and kind of coming into being an extrovert, coming into an office, and there was nobody here. And it was just emotionally, it was very, very draining. But I remember sitting at my desk and looking at my bank account and going, what does my pipeline look like? What does my bank account look like? And just had that realization that I actually had to do something. I do something very real, not relying on clients coming to me, but creating opportunities for clients. And in our world, it's not about just, hey, you can no longer phone a client, hey, can I just grab a coffee? I want to share something with you. And clients were done with Zoom and everything else. They were tired. So I just actually sat down with a blank piece of paper and started doodling. And sometimes my best creative thinking comes out of just having look on a blank piece of paper and a pen and going, what is it that I can do? And eventually I came up with this idea. There was a lot of talk at the time around private label. Yeah. And I thought, what if I do a syndicated study where I get clients, a lot of clients, to spend less amount of money in a study and share the insights with them. So I decided to do this whole study on private label. So for those of you who don't know what private label is supermarket own brand or house brand or no name brand. It's got a number of different kind of iterations, but basically supermarket retailers' brand that they put on the shelves. So a lot of the brands were competing against their customer being the retailer. And there was a lot of talk online about it and where it had got to. And Coles had made this decision that they wanted a significant amount of each shelf being private label. And I thought, okay, that's my cue. So I just put this proposal together, and I got it out there and put it out to my network and said, you guys want to buy in it? I think it was like 10 grand. I was asking them 10 grand each. I knew I needed, probably 4 clients. And I managed to do that, and then some, which was great. Just a little bit. It wasn't like an overwhelming response, but it kind of got me back into the groove. Yeah. And the one thing I've realized through having my own business is the power of momentum. Yep. Once you get that initial momentum, then there's energy that feeds off it. And I very quickly went from that situation into some of my international clients who were sort of coming out of COVID. Probably 6 months before we sort of hit the streets, and they started briefing me, and then I got a big opportunity here with a client of mine, and just things started coming back into place. But it really is about the power of momentum and starting that momentum. So when you feel that you're really in a tough spot, just kind of take a step back without panicking and going, hey, what is it that I can do? What value do I represent to the world, or do I bring to the world? And how can I package that up in a really easy, concise way for a customer or a client to actually process?
I love this conversation, and I love what your whole experience here and your example, because I think there's so much we can unpack here. I just want to say hello to Brad Stridham. He's actually from South Africa too. He lives in Adelaide, and he has another story about coming here. Literally, I think they arrived in Australia the day before they shut down the borders. Yeah, just got in. But back to your experience, and I think this whole thing around momentum and the power of going, hold on, let me think outside the box. Let's step back, because sometimes we just want to keep going with what we're doing because we know it feels safe, and we just keep hammering away and going, it's got to work at some point, yeah? And sometimes life has a way, whether it's through something external or something else that happens in our life, it just has a way, I think, of going, hold on, stop going in this direction right now, take a step back and figure out what's really aligned with you, what you get excited about, and then figure out the action to take in that area. And I think there's another point too we can talk about, which is the mindset, because you got to have the mindset. And I think you obviously have that in terms of going, all right, this is happening. What can I do? And how can I feel good about myself and what I have to offer, and the value, and believing in the value you have to offer, because that has to come with the creativity, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Christine. You know what, if I can draw a kind of an analogy, the way that a lot of us in small businesses operate in our business, I think of the classic hamster on the wheel. And the one thing I would say is to the community of small businesses that are dialing in for this, is I would challenge you to remove yourself from being the hamster in the wheel and rather be the person that's looking in the cage, looking down on the hamster on the wheel. In other words, spend more time working on your business. That classic, it's a bit of a cliche, I know, but it's so very true. Work more on your business and not in your business. And another way of looking at that is you don't work for your business. The business has got to work for you. Because otherwise you say to yourself, why am I here in the first place? And I've often challenged myself with this question. Why don't I just go get a job as a planning director, similar to what I had in the past, a regional role, planning director, making a decent salary. And, sure, it comes with its stresses and everything, but hey, I can do that and instead of trying to do it myself. Yeah. So the reason why we doing what we do is a lot of the time it's about striving for something else. It's either striving to sell my business, to build something up and sell it, or to have a lifestyle business, or whatever the case may be. But stay true to your vision of why you got into this business for yourself in the first place. If you're working crazy long hours in your own business, you're working for the business, you're a slave to the business. Essentially, all the business is doing is giving you a job. Yeah. You've got to take a step back. You've got to get your processes right, so you've got something that someone else or some other people can do the heavy lifting for you, whether it's full-time or whether it's on contract, whatever your process, whatever your model is. But it's about just taking a step back and strategize on the business. How can you make this work for you as opposed to you working for it?
Yeah, and that requires a long-term mindset as well. I think you got to look further, and you got to get really clear on your why and what parts you enjoy and what parts you might not enjoy. Because you could argue some people want to be a boss and they love to have employees. Some people like me don't actually want to be a boss. I'd much rather hire other small businesses in to help me and support me. So that's another model. So there's so many different models, but we got to just get clear on, why am I doing it? Also, sometimes remember when we're in a tough situation, what am I getting out of it? What parts do I still enjoy? Even when we don't have a clue about where money is going to come from tomorrow, got to remember to keep not going down in the spiral of fear or resentment. We got to go, okay, I'm here for reasons. What was it that brought me here in terms of wanting freedom or freedom to express yourself, creativity, whatever it is? come back to what you're passionate about. For me, that's what's important to me in terms of like, I really love this part actually. As much as I complain sometimes and I don't know what's happening, I kind of enjoy it too. Yeah, I have that personality that enjoys that in terms of going, okay, how can I solve this problem? How can I think out of the box? What can I do next? Where do I want to go? And I have a clear vision now. And I took your point completely, because I didn't have a model when I first started working for myself. It was literally, I'm burned out. I need to make some money. How can I do it without getting into a place where I have a boss, or I have a certain schedule where it's me who's in charge of me, because I wasn't good at setting boundaries. And that was something I had to learn. I've had to do a lot of work on my mindset. And now it's like, well, okay, I still have that freedom, but I need a model. So to your point, I did create a model, and I want to go into a passive income. So whatever you want to do, just think about what does the future look like and what would make you happy. Because if we're not happy in our own business most of the time, not all the time, then what are we doing it for?
Absolutely, Christine. I really admire what you've done, knowing your background and the journey that you've been on. I'm really full of admiration for where you've got to, and I wish you nothing but success in the future. And I'm sure it will absolutely come if you're not experiencing that already, which I'm sure you are. But I've kind of followed that similar journey in a parallel. You know, a lot of my clients are what we used to call the Fortune 500s. You know, the top end of town. Very sophisticated when it comes to marketing and marketing research and so on and so forth. The businesses I love to work with are right now, if you said to me, in terms of my current business offering, is very much the tier 2s, the challenger brands, because they're hungry for information. They really want to challenge for the top mantle in their category. But if you take it even a step further, the one thing I'm truly passionate about and where I really want to make an impact is with the small retailers, the ones that have done it tough through COVID. They're doing it tough now through an economic slowdown. And when I go and walk into a small store and speak to the retailer, I just get so inspired by them and the steps, the leaps they've made, the risks they've taken. And I just really want to help them. I want to share with them all the experience that I've been fortunate enough to gain over 25 years. And say to, I often say to them, have you considered this? Have you done that? And I really want to spend more time working with small retailers and supporting them.
And you know what? I think you and I had this conversation when we met up coffee last time in Sydney. There is, as much as I have enjoyed working with big businesses and corporates and brands, and I would surely enjoy it again on a project, there's a whole nother level of satisfaction that I agree with that you're also feeling when you work with small business owners, because I want more small business owners to have freedom or to do something they're passionate about, to live their life to the fullest, just like I want to. And there's something about helping someone who's smaller, because they really need the help often, and they really want to do something with it. Yeah, they're actually ready to take action. So whatever we can give them that will help them understand their ideal customers better, understand how to do strategy, whether it's in the retail space or brand space, etc. They want to act on it. Yeah, they want to do something about it. So where sometimes with big businesses, I don't know if it's happened to you, you can do a great project and then they doesn't quite fit with the stakeholders' agendas potentially, and then it gets shelved, yeah? And then it reappears 3 years later and you asked to do it again. And you're like, really? Couldn't you just look at your database?
Absolutely. I hear you. All these dark memories are coming back. But look, the one thing I'd say about small businesses, and something that I've learned recently that I kind of want to share with the community, is the one thing we do is we generally kind of start our business, we jump straight on the hamster wheel, right? Go. Where's the next invoice going to be raised? Where's the next kind of check going to be paid, and so on and so forth. The one thing we fail to do, Christine, is actually plan for the future. Why are we in this business? What is our 5-year plan? What is our 7-year plan? Whatever the case may be. Like, what do we want to achieve? Yeah, and how are we going to achieve it? Have some kind of plan, and then once you're happy with that plan, then stick to it, and certainly revisit it on a regular basis, saying, this is what I set out to do. Where am I? And it's about your financial objectives. It's your strategic objectives. It's the basic vision for the business. If your vision for the business is, I want to sell this business in 7 years' time and I want to make X amount of money out of it, then you start going, well, how do I get there? What is it that I need to do? What sort of numbers do I need to have in place? How many people do I need to have employed to achieve those goals? Get down into some of that detail. You don't use being from South Africa. I'm going to use a rugby analogy, but you don't run onto the field without having a plan. And I think that's what sometimes we do. With our own businesses, we just run onto the field, going, yeah, everything's going to be fine. I've got enough self-belief. I'll make this work. The one thing I've learned about my own business, I'm guilty as charged, absolutely, is about take a step back, have a plan, a business plan, like what numbers do you want to achieve, and track those over time. I mean, I challenge everybody on this call saying, when was the last time you checked your numbers? And like in terms of when was the last time you set goals against your numbers? Who has a business plan for their small business? A very clear outline business plan. Who's taken the time to do that?
Well, I think I'm guilty as charged too, as much as we're both strategists. We're both guilty, especially me, it's a bit guilty to charge. And sometimes things happen from the outside where we just didn't know, but it's a wake-up call, yeah? And there's a mindset in as well, because you got to have, when you set your business plan or your future or where you want to go with your business, you got to have some self-worth in it, yeah? You got to value yourself. So for me, it's also a mindset game in terms of where do you believe you can add the most value? If you're honest with yourself, truly see your own value. And how does that come to life in your business plan as well? Because, as much as we can say, I want to achieve this beautiful goal of this much money with this much people, and then I'm going to sell this all beautiful, yeah? We actually need to go, okay, really, what does that mean in terms of creatively? What can I offer that will let me get there in the way that I would enjoy? And that way I would be able to add the most value.
Yeah. And
so for me, that, and we still have to work on in the business too, because we kind of make some money too, especially if we ran out of savings over the lockdown, so which I did, because it was pretty hard going. So it's just got to really think through it in terms of creatively, what would make me happy as well, that would make that money and that would bring me to the goal that I want to achieve in the end, in terms of whether it's, not working in the business, only on the business, etc., whatever that looks like for you.
Absolutely. And where it's got to start off in your planning is going to start off with you as an individual. What is it that you want to get out of this? Yeah. Then it's the business as the vehicle. The business is just a vehicle at the end of the day.
Exactly.
For your own happiness, your own actualization in terms of what you want to get. And I think that's really important as we start off, just be selfish for a moment. And start with yourself and say, what do I want out of this? This is all that matters in my world, is what I want. Do I want to leave a legacy business for my kids or bring them in, or do I want to sell it and have financial freedom in my retirement years? Whatever your drivers are, be very clear on those and make sure the business is supporting those drivers. There's a lovely, I don't know if you've seen that speech that Denzel Washington made at one of the, I think it was at Stanford or something many years ago. And he talks about the importance of that. And forgive me, I can't quite remember his words, but he said something about, you never see a hearse pulling a U-Haul. So in America, a U-Haul is one of those container trailers you put all your stuff in and you take it to your storage or whatever. But it's like a hearse doesn't take, or you can't take your stuff with you, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. And it kind of came to me the other day. Have you read this book, which I'd highly recommend to your community, Being a Small Business, The E-Myth?
No. E-Myth.
Oh my goodness.
Read it?
It's just so full of profound wisdom for a small business. And he talks about visualizing yourself, visualizing this room, and there's, gold lace curtains and whatever, and then there's a box in the middle, and he says, you're in it. And basically what it's saying, it's your funeral, which is a bit grim, I know, but he says in the book, what do you want people to say about you when you're lying in that wooden box? And I think that was so profound. Again, it's about like, what is your legacy? What is it that you want to achieve? Do you want them to say, hey, Pete was a successful businessman. He did this, did that. He, provided for his family, whatever, like whatever your drivers are, just think about that moment and then work back from that. Living life to the fullest. Have you lived life to the fullest?
Exactly. And it's individual for all of us. So no one can give you the answer to that. You got to go inside and really figure out who you are. When you take away all the social influences and expectations of how we should be and how we should live our life, when you can take a step back from that and go, who am I really? What am I really enjoying? What makes me happy? And sometimes I say to my clients, go back to childhood. What did you love doing? Because whilst we may not be playing with Lego anymore, there's something in it, whether you're a builder, whether you are a puzzle maker, whatever it is, because those skills are something you just could do for hours as a child. There's something in it, if you can come back to that, and how does that look like in your business? How does that come to life? So you can get that fulfillment that comes from doing your own business. If we're not doing our own business for us to enjoy it, why are we doing it? So for me, that's so important to go back there and go, okay, actually at a deeper level, what would make me happy? And to the point with your book, you've read up a lot about people when they're dying, what their regrets are. Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's usually living the way society told us we should live, and not having the guts to go, you know what, I am who I am, whatever that looks like or is, and allowing yourself to at least try, at least give yourself a go. You may not succeed fully, but at least you're giving yourself a go to live your life the way that feels right and connected to who you are.
Yeah. Christine, I'd like to go back, if I may, to something you spoke about earlier, and that was around kind of purpose. And we've heard a lot being mentioned about purpose, but and you said you were touching on things that are like the things that you like doing in your business, and focusing on those. And I couldn't agree with you more. I've been through that process recently now, and I've just kind of, through my own discovery, realized there's things that give me less energy versus things that give me more energy. Doing this is the stuff I absolutely adore doing. Writing content, I don't have time. Well,
you don't enjoy it as much.
Yeah, I don't do it as much as I like to. I'm a case study in procrastination. I've got a book that's 90% complete that I'm trying to finish. Plus, I've got another book that I'm writing with my partners in the US. And I've got all these projects that I really want to finish, because those are the things that give me energy. And I tend to be focusing on the things that give me less energy, because they represent a short-term income.
I think you're absolutely right. It's actually an energetic thing. Oh no, what's happened? You know what's happened? In the US, all the US people have just realized Australia has moved ahead in terms of lives of the days, what is called daylight savings.
Daylight savings, yeah.
So they're like, oh no, it's an hour early. I've just got Mike Asherbrowner here from the House of Business Community. He's got, oh no, oh no. Anyway, you can all watch the replay. We're early. I forgot to mention that we're early in Australia now. Anyway, it is what it is.
Otherwise, we'll do one specifically for your American friends. How's that?
Yeah, we'll just keep going. We'll do another one. We'll keep on here. Won't go to school today, to university, which is actually something that gives me, I found that I ended up teaching at the university this year. And it was partly because I wanted some extra money and a bit of security, because it can be uncomfortable when I've taken a new direction in my business, and it takes a while to build a business. It doesn't, unless you've got a whole room of clients ready to buy, and you're starting a new project in your business. And I've taken my business from working mainly with big businesses to working mostly with small business owners, 90% now. So it's changed around, but that takes time to build. Yeah. And so I wanted some extra money. So I got a job at the university, and I will say, it gives me energy. There's something in it. I don't know how it's going to help me in my business, besides giving me some money, but there's something in it, because the energy and the passion and the excitement I get from it, without wanting to become a full-time teacher, is very interesting. So I have to trust the universe or whatever's coming through, because it's a high, like you talked about before, it's a high energy. So I'm really feeling that way in terms of follow the energy, follow what makes you feel good inside. If it gives you energy, your soul is speaking to you about where the direction you should be taking, rather than going towards the low energy. That's not to say we should turn down a job if it gets us good money. We just have to realize we're doing it for that, yeah, and be okay with that, and then keep moving towards, because we all got to live too. I'm not one of those fairy tales, in terms of just quit everything and just wait for it to happen for you. Like you said at the start, you got to take momentum. You got to have momentum. You got to move forward, yeah. And that means action. So for me, that's been so important. Follow the energy. So I love the conversation, and we are almost out of time, but we're going to have a couple more minutes before we finish up, because this is so exciting, and this gives me energy too. So what makes you feel energetic? What do you want to create, and that might take a little bit of a while. I'm creating a community right now, and I wanted to put it out in August, and now we're in October, and it's simply because I just want to get some videos in there that I know is part of it. And then last night I'm like, okay, this is going to take me longer. I'm just going to have to start this community, and we're just going to have to do it as a minimal viable trial. And I might only have 5 people that I have signing up at the moment, but that's fine. Let's just get it going, and that will put momentum for me to get the videos done too. Yeah, because now it's up and live. So I'm planning to start it in the next week or two, and just start it. Just do it.
Fantastic. Yeah, Christine, just in closing from my side, if I may, something I spoke to you about before we went online live, is this whole power of self-belief. As entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, there's nobody out there giving you the support. You're not building energy from a bigger team or anything like that. And we deal sometimes with this thing. Some of us deal with this thing called imposter syndrome. The one thing I would say is, if you guys have read any of David Goggins's books, he talks about the accountability mirror and the impact that it had on his life, turning him around from someone but potentially could have headed down a life of crime, to actually becoming a Navy SEAL and all the other wonderful things he did. But I think there's a lot of truth in the idea of standing in front of your mirror and looking at yourself, that accountability mirror, and just the power of affirmations and self-belief, and just cutting yourself some slack, giving yourself a break and going, you know what, I'm bloody good at this. I'm really, just that sense of self-belief. It's not arrogance. It's just a positive energy that you bring to yourself and saying, I can do this. I'm good at this. Just reassure yourself the whole time that you're following your heart and you're following your passions. And the universe has a way of steering in your positive direction as long as you stay true to your passions and stay true to that positive energy.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. We'll finish on this note because I believe affirmations are so powerful. And part of it is actually also us really clearing out any limiting beliefs that we have that are not actually helping us stand in our true worth and truly seeing what we can offer the world. Yeah. So there's the whole energy behind it is also an internal job. And then if we clean out the house internally and optimize who we are internally in terms of our belief systems and our values, and we put that together with action momentum, that's when we're going to start seeing, change in our world. But it may take some time to, like, some people just in small businesses just want to go, why am I not successful now? I'm like, well, you've been in business for 2 months. What do you expect? Unless you had a whole group of clients waiting for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It just takes time, yeah. So thank you so much for your time today, Peter. Now we have going on down here where they can find you on LinkedIn. Is there anywhere else that you want to share? You can put it in the comment or share right now in terms of how people can find you.
Yeah, sure. I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the chat. Is just my email address. And feel free to get in touch. There we go.
Yeah. So that was in private chat. So go into comments.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me try that again.
Otherwise, it's only me seeing it.
Okay. Hang on. How do I do this now?
Go up in the right-hand corner. Can you see comments?
Yeah, I've got into comments, but it's connect to comment. You've got to have your YouTube account or something. But look, I'll just tell you what it is. It's peter@theshoppercollective.com. So I'll repeat that again, peter@theshoppercollective.com. Just drop me an email and or connect with me on LinkedIn, and as always, love to have a chat.
Perfect. And it's actually also in the write-up. So if you look through the write-up of this conversation today, I've got your links in there as well, and your email, I believe, is in there too.
Great
So
stuff.
thank you so much. I can't wait for the next conversation. As you probably can tell if you're listening to the replay or here right now, we can talk forever, and there's always a great conversation here. So I can't wait for the next conversation. It will be probably offline, but maybe we'll have to do another online as well too.
I'm always keen. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
And good luck to all the community out there.
Pardon?
I said good luck to all your community out there in your businesses.
Absolutely. We're all here together, learning and growing together. So, don't quit too early. Stay in the game as much as you can, because it will work out if you truly believe in it and it's a passion of yours and you got something to offer of value, of course.
Great stuff.
Wonderful.
Okay,
We're going to say goodbye here. Thank you for everyone who showed up, albeit I was sorry I forgot to mention the change in the time zone in Australia. It happens. It's happening again in November when the rest of the world changes too, yeah?
Absolutely. Okay, Christine,
Bye,
all the
everyone.
best.